Hi everyone, this is David and welcome to week 7 of Writing 294, Introduction to Professional Writing. This week you'll be happy to know you have only 2 major assignments, a discussion board and then a continuation of the rough draft of your short report. Let's take a look first at this discussion board. As you can see, it says discussion topic for week 7, Vasquez, the differences between academic and business writing. The first thing that you need to do is to access the Vasquez article by following these directions here. These directions basically say that you need to make a number of clicks. You click on content. Then after content, you click on course resources. And under course resources, you click on e-reserves. And once e-reserves comes in, you click on it as an external learning tool. You'll see this list right here. So let's place a check mark in the Vasquez article and say view item. That takes us to the library. And here's the record page for the article, Felix Vasquez. And then we click on PDF full text. And that enables you to read the article in its entirety. Now, once you have read the article in its entirety, you take your breadcrumbs back to week 7. And here we are back again at week 7. And as you see, there are 3 questions here. The first question asks you about the similarities between academic writing and business writing. Try to come up with at least 3 of them. Then what are the differences between academic writing and business writing? Try to come up with at least 3 of those. And then after you have kind of sorted out the similarities and differences, the discussion question asks you to reflect upon 3 experiences in this course. They can be any of the writing assignments. They can be any of the discussion topics, and choose 3 of them. And once you have chosen 3 of them, reflect upon what you noticed about the difference that the writing you've done in this course, Writing 294, Introduction to Professional Writing, and the writing that you completed in, say, a more academic-oriented course, Freshman Composition, something of that nature. So the idea is that you reflect upon and notice the major similarities, but most importantly, the differences between a professional writing course, like the one you're taking now, and an academic writing course, which you've probably had in the past, whether it's writing about literature or composition or whatever. And try to write about a paragraph on each of those experiences, and you'll be done with that discussion topic. Now, your only other assignment for this week is to complete your rough draft of your writing assignment number 5. Now, the full instructions are here in the short report to Decision Maker, but I want to remind you that last week, let's go ahead and pull those instructions up. Last week, you wrote the title page, the memo, the executive summary, and got a start on your table of contents. This week, week 7, you are to complete the rough draft by writing the introduction, the discussion section, the conclusion list, and the recommendations list. I wish to emphasize that the conclusion here is a list, the recommendations here are a list. There are really only these 2 written portions, and let's go over them now. Be sure to follow always the templates that you are given. Here's the template for the cover page. Here's the template for the memo to the decision maker, the purpose, the future actions, and the acknowledging of assistance and thank you. And then the executive summary, and it must have those sections in it. It must be 1 page only. And these are all things that you wrote in week 6. Now let's go to week 7. In week 7, you're writing the introduction. In this introduction, you're simply going to tell your decision maker what problem the report is analyzing. This is going to be a short paragraph in which you briefly describe the context, where you work, the kind of job that you're involved in, the kind of duties that you have. Then you describe the problem that you have encountered while carrying out those duties. Then you state the questions that your report will answer, how big of a problem, what can be done about it, and define any terms if necessary. But keep in mind, you are writing to a decision maker. You're not writing this to me. You're writing this to the decision maker. So you only define terms that you think the decision maker will not know, not me. Now here's the main part of your report that you're writing this week, and this is the discussion section. And in this discussion section, you're going to, quote, provide evidence of the problem and justify your recommendations. Now, when you go to provide evidence, remember, this is not a secondary research report. Remember, you are not to use any outside sources in this report. You are to use primary research only, and that means your observations, your notes, your interviews, your whatever. This is information that you have observed and recorded, and that's why it's called primary research. And you use this primary research to describe the problem in detail so that the decision maker goes, oh, wow, I see. That's really a problem. And then once you have the decision maker nodding his or her head that that is a real problem, now you're able to justify your recommendations. And that's what you do at the end of your discussion. You describe your conclusions. This is what I conclude after examining this situation. This problem is costing us X and X money. This problem is something that we need to take care of. This problem makes us look like whatever. And then you describe in paragraph form your recommendations. Therefore, I'm recommending. So you explain why you've come to those conclusions and why you're making those specific recommendations. Then in a separate list, and I want to emphasize now that this is a separate list, you label another section conclusion, and you restate your findings in bullet list format. Then you label another section recommendations, and you restate your recommendations in numbered list format. So the recommendation section at the end and the conclusion section at the end are in effect summaries or repeats of your discussion of the conclusions and recommendations that you did in the discussion section. So to repeat, this week you turn in the introduction, the context, the background, setting the stage. The discussion, you describe and present your evidence of the problem, as well as your conclusions about the importance of the problem to your company or your group, and then your recommendations for the problem. And that's all in narrative or sentence format. Then you have a separate section of a list of your conclusions, you repeat them, and a separate section for your recommendations, and again, another list, and you repeat them. So those are your two assignments for this week. The discussion board, which you turn in the usual place, and the second part of your rough draft, which I also want you to turn into your submission folder. Okay, so good luck this week. If you have any questions about primary research and about how to go about writing this, please don't hesitate to contact me. At the end of week 7, you will have completed a full rough draft, and I will jump in and give you feedback on the first part that you turned in week 6, the second part that you turned in week 7, and with that feedback, you rewrite it, the short report, to turn in its final form in week 8, and that will be your grade, the draft that you turn in week 8. Okay, I look forward to all of your work this week. Talk to you later.